Hello, I'm Dr. P.J. Mazumdar from Arogyam Hair Transplant and Cosmetic Center in Guwahati. So today I'll discuss with you some points regarding the cost of pricing of hair transplant in Guwahati. So points like what are the factors on which the pricing depends? How is the price determined by a clinic? Do you have to know whether you have got the right price? What is the price of transplant in Guwahati in general? And what is the price of transplant in our clinic at Arogyam? So all these points I've picked out, we'll discuss them today one by one. So point number one, degree of baldness. This is the most important factor which determines the cost of hair transplant. So it depends on how much hair you need. If you are bald till here, you'll need lesser number of grafts. If you have baldness till here, you'll need a higher number of grafts. So naturally, your price will go up depending on how much hair will be needed for you. So accordingly, the cost of hair transplant differs in each patient. For example, in a grade 3 patient, we would expect a price of around maybe just 30 or 40,000. But in a grade 7 patient, it could go up to lakhs. It would be more than a lakhs. So in that case, we have to take a hair from the beard also. So the main determining factor for the patient is his degree of baldness. Point number two is the individual budget. So it depends on you also on how much hair you want to do. What is the budget that you have planned for the transplant? So you may not require the entire area to be filled. You may just want the front portion to be filled. So in that case, your budget will be less. But if you want to say have your whole hair, all the baldness covered, if you are ready to do grafts from the beard, if you want to get the entire hairline plan plus the vertex done, your price will naturally go up. So in that way, you can determine your budget, and according to that, we can plan how much hair we'll do, and the cost will differ according to that. Point number three is the cost per follicle of that clinic. So most clinics will have slightly different prices. So depending on that also your budget will differ. So some clinics are charging more, some clinics are charging slightly less, some clinics have offers, and usually most clinics will offer a discount when you do a large number of grafts. So all that will change the cost for you. You have to know what the price is at that particular clinic. You have to know how much hair you have lost and how much hair you have to do. So all these three factors will together determine the total cost of hair transplant for you. Point number four is the difference between follicle and graft. This is very important for determining the price. So what happens is that in hair transplant, any ethical clinic will always determine the price on the basis of graft. So a graft is a group of follicles. A follicle is an individual hair, and a graft can contain a single hair graft, double hair graft, 3 hair grafts, 4 hair grafts, and so on. So when a clinic discusses its price with you, that can change. Some clinics can call the price as price per graft, but they will actually determine the price on the follicle. So if a graft has 4 follicles, they will count it as 4. But that is not the practice in ethical clinics. At Arogyam also, we always determine the price according to grafts. So when we give you a graft, it may contain 2 hairs, it may contain 3 hairs, it may contain 4 hairs, depending on the quality of hair that you have. But our price will always be based on a graft, on a single graft, no matter how many follicles that graft contains. Point number 5 is how will you count how many grafts you have been given. So when the transplant is going on, the grafts will be bunched together. It is impossible for you to count the grafts. How can you count say 2000 or 3000 grafts? It is impossible. So to counter this problem, what we do at Arogyam is that we place the grafts in special counting trays. So you'll see that when you come to our clinic. So we have got trays which contain small squares, and in each small square we place 5 grafts. We then give you photographs of these counting trays. So when you get back home, you can zoom in on your mobile and check how many grafts you have been given. You can count it directly and easily. You can check whether each individual square has 5 grafts or not. And besides that, you can also see the quality of the grafts. You can count the number of follicles per graft and so on. So we have a fully transparent process. We do not hide anything for you. When we say 2000 grafts, you can be sure that you have got 2000 grafts, and you can count it and confirm for yourself. That is how we do our pricing. So point number 6, again coming to the number of grafts, at Arogyam we always give an ethical count because we have a fully transparent process. Now I have seen that when a patient comes to me, they will tell me that at such and such a clinic I have been advised 6000 grafts, I have been advised 8000 grafts. Now how is that possible? If you look carefully, if you read up, you will find that 6000 or 8000 grafts is a very big procedure. It cannot be done in a single stage. Even a 4000 or 5000 graft is a very big procedure. Anything above 4000 grafts is called a mega session. So when we plan somebody for more than 4000 grafts, we are very alert about this. We have to plan nicely and so on. It takes 2 or 3 days. But here we get a patient who has been told that his transplant will be done in 1 day and he will be given 5000 grafts. So what the clinics may do, I suspect that though they put the price at a cheaper rate, but ultimately perhaps they do not give the required number of grafts. Because I can tell you that it is impossible for any clinic anywhere to do 5000 grafts in a single day. It is a big procedure. You will require grafts to be taken from the scalp, from the beard and so on to get 5000 grafts. But here the clinics say so easily that we will give you 5000 grafts, 6000 grafts and so on. That we do not do in our clinic. Point number 7. Another very important point in determining the pricing of hair transplant is the infrastructure of the clinic. Now here at downtown we have got a fully established clinic. We do the procedure in the main OT of the clinic. That is where neurosurgical procedures also go on, all surgeries like abdomen, chest, anything. So we have a fully equipped infrastructure, a fully equipped staff, 24-hour anesthesiologists are available, 24-hour emergency services are available, blood banks are there, ICU is there, post-operative unit is there, everything is there. So our infrastructure is excellent. It is suitable for the biggest surgeries also. So naturally our prices are higher than a clinic which has the barest minimum of services. But even then at Arogyam, as you find out, we still price our transplant at the average cost of a transplant in Guwahati. Point number 8, the experience of the doctor. So costing also depends on the experience of the doctor. So in a chain clinic, what they do is that they will bring in some MBBS doctor perhaps, or a doctor who is not as experienced, who has not been doing surgeries for long. So naturally, when you get a doctor who is dedicated to hair transplant, who has been doing hair transplant solely hair transplant for several years, naturally his experience and education will tend to raise the prices. So that is also one very important factor in determining the pricing of hair transplant. Point number 9. Now I would just like to inform you of the prices in Guwahati of hair transplant. So there are a number of clinics here in Guwahati. There are at least 3 important clinics which are the leading clinics for hair transplant in Guwahati. So prices vary. So in one clinic we have a price of around rupees 60 to 65. In another clinic we have a price of around rupees 25. So prices vary depending on many factors, as I've said, depending on the infrastructure, the doctors who are there, and most importantly, it depends on how the clinic wants to charge its patients. So some clinics have a big advertising campaign. You'll find them on the roads, on billboards. You'll find them on TVs, radios, newspapers. So naturally, the pricing of that clinic will be higher because they have to account for all those prices. But at Arogyam, we do not hardly spend anything at all on advertisement. All our patients come from referrals. One patient will refer the next patient and so on. So we do not have to worry about those overheads. So point number 10, I want to tell you the price of hair transplant in Arogyam. So we have priced our hair transplant at rupees 35 per graft. That is the fixed price. That is the price of Downtown Hospital. So Downtown Hospital, as you may know, is an established hospital. Its prices are fixed. So rupees 35 is the average cost of hair transplant in Guwahati. Some clinics are offering more, some are offering less, but we fall in the middle range. And we have found ourselves to be comfortable with that price. I think at rupees 35, the services that we are offering are far more valuable than the actual cost that we are charging, because we have all these advantages. But in spite of that, we have not overcharged our patients. We want to give the best service at the most affordable price, and that is what we are doing in our clinic.